Hello and welcome to Braden's Watch Reviews. My name is Braden and today I have a bit of a different video for you guys. Today, instead of reviewing a watch, I'm going to be trying to repair the first ever automatic watch I owned. Now, you may have seen this watch in the background of previous videos, but it is what appears to be a classic Seiko 5 watch from around the 1970s or 80s. I purchased it on Facebook Marketplace a while back, not really knowing anything about watches. I saw it pop up and I had always wanted an automatic watch, so I decided to buy it from a guy. And when I bought it, I liked it a lot and I didn't really know much about it, but I liked the way it looked and it seemed to be working fine. But sadly, after about a month of owning it, it did stop ticking completely. And that led me to do a little bit of research on the watch and everything. And the more I dug into it, the more I found out that I was not necessarily scammed, but I didn't purchase this watch, or the seller didn't sell me this watch in good faith. Now this watch is what a lot of people in the watch community would call a Frankenstein watch. There's a lot of so-called watchmakers in India that will just kind of take a lot of cheap watch parts that are dirty and maybe not oiled or serviced very well, and just kind of throw them all together in one watch and then sell it on eBay. And with that, like my experience, it usually works fine for a little while before breaking. And while obviously this watch isn't worth very much, and as you can tell the face isn't in the best condition and there wasn't really a lot of care made into building this watch, it does hold a lot of sentimental value for me since it was the first ever automatic watch I purchased. So I decided to buy a new movement for it that has been fully serviced. And I'm hoping that I can just swap out the movements and get this watch working again. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and begin the building process. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take this back cover off. I have already loosened it, so hopefully it won't give me too much trouble here. There we go, it should come off now. So removing the back cover, we will get our first look at the movement. And as you can see, the rotor is pretty dirty on there, and of course the balance wheel isn't moving at all, it isn't oscillating. That is due to binding, obviously, and I am just assuming that this movement does just need to be serviced and oiled. However, the movement in here is really cheap and not really worth a lot, so for me I think it's just better if I go ahead and replace the whole movement. So now that we have removed the back, we should just be able to pop out this crown. The way you do that is there is going to be a little button over here that you just press, and then the crown should pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. There we go. And now that we have removed that crown, the movement should just pop out, just like that. So I will go ahead and lay the rest of the watch over to the side. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove these hands so we can remove the face off of the watch. So removing these hands is a pretty simple task. All we're going to do is use this tool right here. We're just going to place it right over all of the hands and just squeeze, and it should just add a little bit of pressure to it and lift the hands right up. Let's go ahead and do that now. So we do have the hour hand still on there. I am going to go ahead and remove that one now as well. So as you can tell, we have already run into our first issue with this watch, and that is the little bezel surrounding the date window has fallen off. That's not the biggest of deals. I may try to put it on or back on, or I may just leave it off. It doesn't really bother me that much. But now that we have removed the hands, the next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and take this face off of the movement itself. And flipping it over, what we'll see is there are two posts holding the face onto the movement. And how you'll remove it is you'll just unscrew the screws right next to those posts, and that should loosen it up to remove it. And you don't want to unscrew them all the way, you just want to turn them a little bit to loosen them. Just like so. Now I may switch over to another screwdriver. Give me just one second, I'll be right back with you. Yeah, there we go. I like the screwdriver a lot better. So once again, we're just going to unscrew it very gently. And once we have it unscrewed, we should be able just to pop this off. Just like so, it is coming off. There we go. Now it is important when working on the internals of a mechanical or automatic watch that you always wear gloves, because the oils on your hands can damage the internals of the mechanism itself. Now that we have gotten that face off, I'm going to go ahead and get the new movement out of this bag and begin to reinstall everything. So this is what the new movement looks like. I'll give you a close-up shot so you can see it here. So there we go. Like I said, this is the new movement. I will say one difference is this is the, I believe it's the 6309 movement. It comes with 17 joules. The movement that was in the watch is actually the upgraded movement that comes with 21 joules. Originally this watch did just come with this movement though, so I don't see that being an issue. Now that you've seen it though, I'm going to go ahead and remove the crown and begin reassembly of all the pieces. So just like we removed the crown the first time, what we're going to do is press down on the little button and the crown should just pull right out. Just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and put the face back on. And it is important that we line everything up how it is meant to go. So the date window goes at the 3 o'clock position, which you'll be able to tell by where the crown used to be. Let's see. I do want to apologize. I did have to put the face on off camera, but as you can see here, I was able to get it on and tighten down those little posts that connects it. Before I go ahead and put the hands and everything back on, I do want to just show that the balance wheel is oscillating as it should, which means hopefully I shouldn't have any problems with this one ticking like the last one. So let's go ahead and put on the hands now. But first what we're going to do is we're going to install the crown and just move it over until we see the date move to the next day. What that will tell us is we're at the midnight position, so we'll place the hands on accordingly. So let's go ahead and put that crown back in and move it until the date begins to advance. I have the crown right here, and to reinstall a crown is as pretty much as easy as you think it is. All you do is just drop it right back into the hole and you just push just like that. Now what we'll do is go ahead and just move it, advance it until we see that date begin to advance. And I'll do it a little closer to you so you can see what I'm doing. Give me just 1 second. Get that in focus for you. Sorry, give me just a second. I'm trying to get it in focus. There we go, there it is. So we're just going to rotate the crown. And just right there, see how the date moved forward? So that should mean we'll do it one more time, one 24-hour rotation, and when it rotates forward again, so doing a movement swap like this is a pretty easy, there we go, now it's starting to move. It is a pretty easy job to do. It doesn't take a lot of work. You just got to be careful not to lose any of your pieces, and obviously not to damage any of the stuff you're working on. So let's go ahead and keep going until it reaches Wednesday, and that should tell us we're at the midnight position. Now, one way you can tell if it is a Frankenstein watch and is just to look at the face itself. On these Frankenstein watches, they don't do a very good job with it. So on a real Seiko watch, the printing will be raised. It won't just be a flat printing like that. And there tends to be down on the bottom here a serial number printed on the face. And as you can see, mine doesn't have that. So now that it has rotated over to Monday, we are going to go ahead and put the hands on just at the midnight position like I said. And then we'll go from there. So I'll see you back in just a second. So putting the hands on can be a little tricky. There are a few things to watch out for. So for example, you want to make sure none of the hands are fouling against the watch face or each other. So when you're putting them on, just make sure that the hands are seated evenly and that they're not touching any of the hour indices or each other, anything like that. Ooh, come on. So I'm going to start with the hour hand, of course. Let's see. And we'll just, like I said, we're going to face it towards the 12 o'clock position, and we'll just drop it on just like so. You can move it with your finger a little bit if you need to. Sorry for how shaky my hands are too. The new medication my doctor put me on does make me shake a lot, so I wish I had steadier hands for this, but you make do with what you got. So we will want to try to make it as flat as possible on here, and then using this machine I will just press down evenly to get it seated properly. And obviously you want to get it as close to the midnight position as possible, but if you are off just a little bit, that shouldn't make the biggest difference. It will just mean the date may turn over a little sooner or a little later than normal. So I do have that hour hand seated. I'm just going to go ahead and look to make sure it's on straight. And like I said, make sure nothing's touching or fouling. And now we'll move over to the minute hand. Go ahead and pick it up. And just like the other one, we will put it facing the 12 o'clock position. Just like so. Just drop it right on there. Usually the hour and the minute hand aren't too hard to get seated. It's always the second hand that's the hardest. Just takes a lot of patience. Hopefully your hands are a little steadier than mine. That will make it a little easier. But with enough patience and stick-to-itiveness, you should be able to just drop it right on where it belongs. Just like so. Oop, and it did move a little bit, so let's go ahead, pick it back up, and try that again. And that's the beauty of doing this, is you can try as much as you want to get it how you want it. It doesn't matter at all. Don't be afraid to move them, adjust them. I have heard that if you have some Rutico, it does make it a lot easier to get the hands seated on there. Sadly, I don't have any, so I do just have to use my tweezers. There we go, just like that. Let's see how it looks. You should seat it all the way. What we'll do is go ahead and move it too, just to make sure. Yeah, perfect. And so last but not least, let's go ahead and put the second hand on there. Now, this is the one that's going to be the hardest to do. Obviously, the second hand is the smallest and does have the smallest tower to be placed on. So it can be a pain in the butt, but you just got to be patient and just drop it on. It may take a little while. I will try to film it, but if I am struggling, I may just turn the camera off and come back with you after I've gotten it placed. If you guys have any pointers for me, feel free to leave those in the comment section. I'm always trying to learn new and better ways of working on my watches, so that would be very appreciated. I do have a video coming up where I hope to build a watch using AliExpress parts. I am very excited for that video, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and just subscribe to my channel, and if you like what we're doing here so far, feel free to leave me a like as well. And I am going to go ahead and try to do this off camera, that way I don't waste your time. I'll be back with you once I got it on. Okay, I'm back. I do have some rather disappointing news. After trying to get that second hand on the watch for about 30 minutes, I just wasn't having success, and I wasn't sure why. So I did decide to look a little more closely at the new movement compared to the old movement. And I will kind of get them I'll pick them up and show you guys too, so while I'm talking about it, so you guys can see. Give me 1 second. Okay. So you might not be able to see it, but this is obviously the new movement with the face on it, and this is the old movement right here. As you can see on the old movement, it is as you would expect. It has the, I'm not really sure the word for it, but like the tower that you place the hands on, and that tower does have the little tiny pole for the second hand, whereas, hopefully, whereas the new movement, it has the tower, but it is missing the part that the second hand attaches to. So the second hand, whenever I would try to attach it, it just kept falling off. So I am a little disappointed in that. What I've decided to do is I'm going to go ahead and reach out to the seller, and hopefully they'll either exchange it or send me a new one or give me a refund, so I can go ahead and try to buy a movement that's working. In the meantime, I have decided to just go ahead, and I've tested the watch, and it does still tick and keep time. Of course, it doesn't have the second hand, but the minute hand and the hour hand do still move. So what I've decided to do for this video is just go ahead and put it together as it is. And like I said, I'm going to reach out to the seller and hopefully get this resolved and try to do a part 2. But so for the rest of this video, I will just continue putting the watch together as it is. So to put the watch together, what we are going to do is remove that crown again. And it's just the same as it's been the past couple of times we remove it. You just press down on the button and pull it out. Now, what we're going to do is make sure there's nothing in the case, any dust or particles or anything like that. We're just going to give it a real quick clean wipe down. Make sure there's nothing in it, and then we'll go ahead and drop in the movement just like so. Now with some movements, you will have the little ring that holds it in place. This one doesn't have one, so you will just drop it in, and then from there you'll insert the crown piece one more time. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I want this one right here. There we go. Make sure it's seated properly and it doesn't come out, just like so. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I can't really tell. And then lastly, what you'll do is just put the back cover back on and screw it down. There we go. You screw it down, and then you do want it to be pretty tight, not so tight that you can't get it off, but you do need it to be tight for the waterproofing to work. So we'll go ahead and get our screw tool, open it up to the right size, and tighten. Just like so. There we go. And we have our watch. Just to prove that it works, I do think I'm going to try to do a bit of a time lapse, just because you can't see the second hand ticking. So I'll go ahead and insert that footage right now, and then I'll be back with you for the conclusion. So I am a little disappointed. This video didn't quite turn out how I had wanted it to turn out. However, I do guess technically I do have a working watch again, so I guess that is a win. But like I said, there will definitely be a part 2 where hopefully I can replace the movement and go ahead and get a movement that you can put the second hand on. So if that is something you're interested in, feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, go ahead and give me a like and leave me a comment with any tips or pointers you have. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.